Hi everyone, welcome to our fifth online safety lesson. Today we're going to be learning to know what cyberbullying is and how to address it. Now, I'm going to give you a bit of a pre-warning. There is a video later in the lesson that is a little bit upsetting. It shows somebody who's been affected by cyberbullying and the person gets quite upset in the video. It doesn't contain anything inappropriate or offensive, but adults, you may just want to have a look at the video first and watch this with the children before letting them watch it by themselves, just so you can have a talk about why that person's feeling that way. Now, just to start us off, as always, I want us just to recap the code that we use to risk assess websites and programs, because this is the thing you should be using in your head every time before you go onto a device like a phone or a tablet or a laptop. So, can you remember the code we use to risk assess websites and programs? Okay, hopefully you've remembered that the code is RAG. Or, as I pointed out in the last lesson, you could actually say it's BRAG, because you could include the blocklisted websites. Now, what I would like you to do as well, because I really want you to have this deep in your brain, I would like you to pause the video and have a chat with somebody that you're working with, or write down a summary for each of these categories. What does each of these categories mean? What is a red website? What is an amber website? What is a green website? And what is a blocked list website? So pause the video, maybe just take 5 minutes and write down some descriptions of each of these, or you could alternatively talk about it with an adult. Okay, now that you've done that, we're going to see if your answers match mine. Now, if you've written down your answers, you may want to pause the video after this and just add in any details that you haven't got now. The green websites, these are closed. This means nobody else can affect your experience. Now, I've heard quite a few people saying that these are offline programs. Now, a lot of the time they are, but there are some things that are online that are closed. So you can get things like Microsoft Word online or PowerPoint online that nobody else can come in and affect your experience. It's more that nobody can come from the outside in and affect the things that you're seeing, reading, viewing. Okay, let's see if you've got the same answer as me for Amber. So I've said that these websites are open. That means that other people can affect the things that you see and read. However, these websites and programs and apps do not involve chat. So there's no element of being able to chat directly with somebody. Let's think about the red websites. Okay, these are open, so again, it lets people from outside affect your experience, but they also do involve chat. Now, although they involve chat, these ones are safer than the blocklisted websites for a key reason, because they allow you to chat privately with people you know. So if you are chatting with people you know, and by that I mean people you've met in the real world, your family and your friends, it might be a program like WhatsApp or something like that where you can send messages directly to that person. Or it might be a public chat room on a game, something like Among Us, where there's a small chat room for people who are all in that together. But because there's more people there, it means that there's more people to protect you. And it also means that people aren't going to be as brave to say the wrong thing, which is why they're a little bit safer. Let's have a think about the blocked list website. Which websites should none of us be accessing? So let's see if your answer matches mine. So I've said these websites again are open and they do involve chat, but in these websites it allows strangers to talk privately with you. And this is where we come into a bit of danger, which is why we shouldn't be accessing these websites, because there's not other people who can oversee the conversation. which means that strangers can pretend to be different people that they aren't. They can ask us for private information. They can ask us for inappropriate material like messages, photos, videos. They can also send us some inappropriate material. Okay, now we've recapped that, we're going to start talking about bullying. And I want us to think about the different types of bullying we know of now. Today we're going to be talking mainly about cyberbullying, but what you'll find with cyberbullying is it's very similar to bullying that would happen in person in the real world. So the first thing I want you to do is to pause the video and think about what different things might a person bully another person for. Pause the video, you might want to write them down, you might want to have a chat with somebody. Okay, so a bully is somebody who hurts someone else by using behaviour which is meant to hurt, frighten or upset another person. This bullying could be done in different ways, including verbal. So verbal bullying means calling people names, making fun of them, teasing them, spreading rumours, using inappropriate language. It could be racist bullying, name calling because of the colour of a person's skin, or because of where they come from in the world, because of their religion or their culture, because of their accent, because they have a different accent to you. We have emotional bullying, which means hurting people's feelings, leaving people out, whispering and letting people know that they're excluded. Bullying can be physical, pushing, kicking, hitting, spitting, punching. LGBT-phobic, that means using language or behaviour which is motivated by a prejudice against the LGBT community. Or, the one we're going to be focusing mainly on today is cyberbullying, and that is seeing unkind things or making threats through email, internet chat rooms, social media, the virtual learning environment, or text messages or other programs like that. Now, sometimes when someone's unkind to us or makes us feel a bit lousy, we automatically want to say it's bullying. Now, bullying is a really severe accusation to make. Now, you definitely should always report it if you think it's bullying. But before you do that, you always need to think, is this bullying? So you need to think, how do we know if it is bullying? How do we know if behaviour is bullying and not just a one-off mistake somebody's made? So, I'm going to give you a new acronym here, and the acronym is STOP. So before you decide that something's bullying, try and stop and think. STOP stands for behaviour that is several, more than once, times, on purpose. So if somebody's acting in a negative way to you more than once and they're doing it on purpose, then it's bullying. It isn't necessarily bullying if somebody says the wrong thing or leaves you out one time and they're doing it by accident. So just always be thinking, is it bullying or is it an accident? Now, what we're going to do is we're going to think more about what is cyberbullying. So I'm going to show you a quick video. While you're watching this video, I want you to think of a few different things. I want you to be considering, what is cyberbullying? Is cyberbullying worse or better than in-person bullying? And by in-person bullying, I mean when someone bullies somebody to their face in the real world in person. I want you to think about, why do many bullies use the internet to bully other people? Why is cyberbullying such a big problem? And lastly, I want you to think about, what can you do to support the victims of bullying? So without further ado, we're going to watch this video. I want you to keep those questions up, and after the video, or maybe during the video, you can pause, write some answers to these questions or talk about them with somebody. Let's watch.
When we're mean, we might say or do things that hurt others. We might be feeling angry, upset, or jealous. It could happen once, or maybe even twice. Being mean is not okay, but bullying is much worse. Bullying is when someone uses their power repeatedly to hurt or upset someone. It could be hurting them physically or calling them names and saying hurtful things. So then, what's cyberbullying? Cyberbullying's like bullying, but it happens on the internet or on a device like your phone, which can make it kind of different. With cyberbullying, it can feel harder to escape because it can happen anywhere, anytime. Also, it's easier for cyberbullies to hide who they are. Plus, other people online could see what's happening and even gang up on someone. If you see someone being bullied, in person or online, what can you do? Give them support. It helps to show that you care. Be an upstander. Stand up for others and say something to the bully. Report what you see and tell a trusted adult. So, what will you do if you see cyberbullying?
Okay, now we've watched that video, what I would like us to do is I would like you to pause the video, make sure you've got answers to those questions ready, and we're going to check them against my answers in a moment. Okay, so let's think about the first question. What is a cyberbullying? So, my answer that I've put is cyberbullying is online behaviour which makes a person feel sad, upset, or unsafe. Now, you might have an even better answer than me. Okay, let's look at question 2. So I've said, is cyberbullying worse or better than in-person bullying? Now, my answer, I've said, cyberbullying is just as bad as bullying in person. So they are both really bad to do. Bullying is never okay. However, cyberbullying can sometimes, not always, but sometimes feel more intense. Because with cyberbullying, it can feel really difficult to escape because we've often nowadays got devices with us like phones and tablets. So we can always constantly be receiving comments and negative material. So it's very hard to escape. Whereas in-person bullying usually happens in a place like school or work, somewhere where we can escape from. Cyberbullying can follow us everywhere, so it can feel worse at times. So the next question, why do many bullies use the internet to bully others? For my answer, I've said that cyberbullies often believe they can hide who they are, or that it's harder for adults to spot. So sometimes people think that if they make up a fake account, they can hide who they are. However, remember what we said in the last lesson about a digital footprint. It is impossible to completely hide who you are, even if you're deleting comments or using a fake name. However, sometimes, because people are in private chats or a game, they think that adults aren't going to spot it. But you will see by the end of this lesson how many adults find out about cyberbullying and why it's important to report to adults. Now, the final point is, how can you support victims of bullying? So my answer is, stand up for them and report your concerns to a trusted adult. Now, the most important part of that is to report any concerns. If you think standing up for the person will put you in danger, don't get involved, but you should always report it. Report it to an adult you trust. Okay? But never join in with making bullying comments, because that will make you as bad as the original bullying. Now, In our last session, we discussed how we can create a positive digital footprint by using the acronym THINK. So how can we spread joy and positivity online? Let's see if you can remember. So T stood for, is it true? H stood for, is it helpful? I stood for, is it inspiring? N stood for, is it necessary? K stood for, is it kind? Now, as people who want to be part of a positive society and make the internet into a good thing, those are the things that we are going to be doing most of the time in our posts, in our actions, in our words online. However, unfortunately, there are some people who use the internet and make it their mission to spread unhappiness by creating a negative digital footprint. We call these people trolls. Now, trolls, often we think of something quite fun, something quite magical. However, when we're talking about internet trolls, we're talking about people who want to make people upset. And unfortunately, there are a lot of these people on the internet. Now, whereas people who are making a positive digital footprint will be doing these things, checking that their words are true, helpful, inspiring, necessary and kind, trolls will be doing quite the opposite. Trolls, rather than posting things that are true, spread lies and rumours online. Trolls, instead of being helpful, make mean comments that aren't constructive, that don't help people to be better. Trolls, instead of inspiring people, criticise other people's hard work and their achievements. Trolls, instead of spreading messages that are necessary and needed, make comments that are unneeded, that don't help anybody. And trolls, instead of being kind, get a thrill, they get joy and pleasure from being mean to others. Now, you might wonder why I'm talking about trolls in a cyberbullying lesson, but trolling is really the same as cyberbullying. Trolling, usually we think of, is when lots of people come together and target a person they don't know, often celebrities, but actually cyberbullying is the same. It's just trolling a person that we know from real life. Cyberbullying and trolling are the same thing, and it's a really negative, horrible thing to do. So, we're going to think about why cyberbullying and trolling is dangerous. Now, I'm going to start with a bit of a story. And you may have heard of a band called Little Mix. Now, Little Mix won the competition on television, the X Factor, in 2011. So that's 20 years ago from now. No, it's not. It's 10 years ago from now. Sorry, I don't teach very often. I teach maths very often. Now, there's a member of that band called Jesy Nelson. I'm going to show you a video of Jesy Nelson in a moment. Jesy Nelson has worked very hard. Even if you're not a fan of Little Mix, we've got to accept that this woman has worked really hard to make brilliant music and spread joy and positivity in her music. She's also worked to celebrate other talented people. She's started new bands on television. She's appreciated other artists and other singers. However, unfortunately, online trolls and bullies targeted Jesy for the way she looked, and this affected her mental health and well-being. In 2019, 2 years ago, Jesy Nelson released a documentary talking about the negative effect that the bullying had on her. Now, we're not going to watch the full documentary because there are bits that are inappropriate for children. However, adults, it may be worth you watching if you get time. I think you can find it on things like BBC iPlayer, because it gives you a real insight into why cyberbullying and trolling is so dangerous. It's a very informative documentary. Now, in a moment, I'm going to show you a video. I just want to give you a warning that the next video does show Jesy Nelson being quite upset. I would like everybody to check with an adult before they watch this video. So pause the video and just check with an adult before you watch the next bit. It may be worth an adult watching first. Okay, so I'm going to watch this video now. Now, while you're watching this video, I want you to think about what the negative impact, what effect did the trolling and cyberbullying have on Jesy. As I've said, this video does show Jesy becoming quite upset, so just be prepared.
I just sat in bed and I was just crying, thinking, this is never, sorry, I just remember thinking, this is never going to go. Like, I'm going to constantly wake up and just feel sad for the rest of my life. The only way I can describe the pain is that it feels like, if you've ever been heartbroken in your life, is it just feels like constantly feeling heartbroken. Everyone says, do you ever watch old videos back of you when you're on X Factor? And I can't, like, I actually, like, can't watch them back because it just makes me so sad, and it's a time of my life that I will never get back.
I wanted to just find every single person that had ever said anything horrible to her and just look them in the eye and say, like, look what you've done to this girl.
Okay.
I just sat in bed and I was just crying, thinking...
So, there are many reasons a person shouldn't join in with trolling or cyberbullying. What I want you to do, again, is pause the video after you've watched the last video of Jesy Nelson speaking. Just have a chat or write down some of the reasons, some of the negative effects that cyberbullying and trolling can have. Okay. So, the effects of cyberbullying can be really deep and personal. First of all, it can cause anger and frustration. People not feeling like they understand why they are being treated in this way. It can make people feel very isolated, very lonely and alone. It can lead to quite serious effects like depression and anxiety. Now, all of those can come together to make people physically ill. The stress that cyberbullying and trolling can take on a person can cause physical illness. As well, when somebody's feeling like they've been cyberbullied or trolled, because other people can see it, it's quite humiliating and quite embarrassing for that person, which isn't fair because actually that person has done nothing wrong. Now, you may not realise this, but cyberbullying is now a crime. That means that if you harass or bully or troll people online, you can be reported to the police. Now, the police will usually follow up by speaking to the person who has been trolled or who is trolling or bullying other people. However, in more serious cases, you can be punished by the law. So it's really important to realise that there is laws against cyberbullying and trolling. Now, we're coming towards the end now, and I want us to think about what should we do if we're being cyberbullied or trolled. Have a think, again, pause the video, you might want to make a bullet pointed list or talk to somebody. What should you do if you're being cyberbullied or trolled? Okay, If you think you're being bullied, the first step is to seek help from someone you trust. So talking is always going to be, when you're feeling lousy or upset or embarrassed or lonely, talking is always going to be the number one thing you can do. It could be your parents, a close family member, or another adult you trust. In school, you can reach out. It says a counsellor, but we mean somebody who works with you on your emotions. A sports coach, a favourite teacher, a head teacher, a lunchtime organiser, anybody in school you can talk to. If you are not comfortable, however, talking to someone you know, search for a helpline in your country. So if you go into Google, there are lots of helplines that can help you by giving you somebody to talk to or report to. Alternatively, it can help to let somebody know, like a teacher, by writing a letter or sending a message on ClassDojo or something, just so you don't have to talk about something so emotional in person if you're finding it difficult. Now, if the bullying is happening on a social platform like Facebook or TikTok or Instagram or Snapchat, consider blocking the bully and formally reporting their behaviour on the platform itself. So as well as telling an adult, also report them to the admin. So an admin is somebody who watches over people's behaviour. And if you report it to Facebook or TikTok, they'll have a look at the other behaviours that person is showing, and they can be banned. Nowadays, social media companies are obligated. That means they have to, by law, do their best to keep their users safe. So if you are using their websites, they should be keeping you safe if you let them know that something is going wrong. Now, a piece of advice I will give you is it's always helpful to collect evidence. If people send you text messages or photos, try and take screenshots or photographs of your own, so that you can show what's been going on and you can prove the claims that you are making. For bullying to stop, it needs to be identified, and reporting it is key. It can also help to show the bully that their behaviour is unacceptable and that you are not going to take it. If you let it go and you ignore it, then often the person will carry on pushing and pushing and pushing and getting worse and worse and making you feel worse and worse. Now, if for any reason you think that you are in immediate danger, now by that what I mean is that somebody is threatening to physically hurt you, or if they are making you feel so low and so upset that it feels dangerous to you, then you should contact the police or emergency services. Now, I would always recommend speaking to an adult before you do that, but there will be some situations where there's maybe not an adult at home, or maybe you're walking home from school and you receive threats. You are allowed to contact the emergency services if you think you are in immediate danger. That means that danger is going to come to you, and quickly. Always talk to somebody if something is worrying you. You can talk to an adult, any adult. You can talk to somebody who works in the school, like an LO. You could talk to a teacher or a teaching assistant. Or if you feel nervous about talking to an adult, speak to a friend that you trust. Now, bear in mind, if you're speaking to a friend that you trust, you need to know that that friend can report it to an adult for you. Try not to speak to a friend who you think will ignore the problem or keep it secret, because you need somebody to find out about this who can tackle it for you and help you tackle it. Okay, so that's our lesson for today. So these are your independent tasks. If you are in Key Stage 1, if you are in early years or Key Stage 1, anywhere between nursery and year 2, I want you to draw a picture of all the people you trust, all the important people in your life who you trust. who you could speak to if you were worried about bullying or cyberbullying. Talk with an adult about how you would spot cyberbullying and make a list of the warning signs together, and it might be worth sticking those near a computer or in your bedroom, sometimes that you can keep somewhere that you can keep looking at them and just double checking. Now, for Key Stage 2, this is between years 3 and 6, I would like you to write a short speech that you could read to your class, explaining why cyberbullying and trolling online is wrong, and how that you can avoid doing this, how you can avoid becoming a cyberbully or a troll. Make sure you use persuasive language to persuade other people not to be cyberbullies or trolls. However, also get lots of information in your speech as well. You may actually want to send a video to your teacher of you reading your speech. Now, as always, there is a Kahoot quiz. The link has been posted on Class Dojo, and you need to complete that by 12 o'clock dinner time on Friday the 5th of February. The top 3 scorers will win 5 dojos each. And we'll see you next week in school. Bye everybody.